the senses, through sight, through sound, through what you hear, through all these different sensorial experiences. The material that you are learning or you're going through in your growth path, in your session, basically, and it makes it so that you embody it in a very, very different way. And today we want you to embark on your own personal growth journey in partnership with nature. And if you happen also to be a psychologist, a coach, an educator, a health professional, any kind of health practitioner, this could also be the start of a new complementary professional path for you. Diana has several different paths, including forest coaching, deep nature connection facilitator, forest coach, nature coach. So there are many different paths, okay? But all of them are meant to get people to connect more with their essence, basically to connect more with nature, and through nature connect with themselves, which is really where the power lies. And we love the concepts, and we're really looking forward to learn more and more from Diana. And so with no further ado, we will turn it over to her. And she will now speak more about what nature coaching is, how we can look to nature for inspiration and for resources to enhance our own lives. So back to you, Diana. Let me stop sharing so that you have, there you go.
Voila, thank you. Thank you so much for this introduction. And yeah, it's always kind of embarrassing listening to like my credentials from being told from another people. And I realized that I have basically studied since I am 20 years old, and I have been so many years without a boyfriend that I dedicated myself to studying. So this is the main reason why I have so many credentials, because I just love studying. I have the passion for learning. And these, coupled with not having a boyfriend for so many years, was really useful at the end of the day, I can say. So forgive me for this joke, but yes, it's kind of true. And yes, I'm very glad to have this chance to introduce you to some aspects that are about my work and also very dear to my heart. I have to say that those number, the 30,000 people I have worked with so far, starting from the year 2000, which is the year when I graduated from a university. I have a master's degree in philosophy and anthropology. And since that time, I have done lots of experiences with groups, not all of them with nature. That's an aspect of my work that I gradually evolved as I started feeling the urge and the longing to share some practices and some things that I found in my personal research to heal parts of myself, to heal from my radical disconnection that I had cultivated somehow in my teen years. And so when I reached my 20 years old, I just realized that something in my life was really disconnected. And the first disconnection that I felt was between me, what I considered most like my truest identity, and my body. And that was the first radical disconnection that I started working with and acknowledging and transforming through my relationship with nature. Sometimes I say that if I didn't end up in a psychiatric hospital, it's because of nature, because there were good chances that I could end there. This is a joke, of course, but let's say that my family was kind of really challenging at times, and they were always traveling around the world and leaving me at home in my safe haven of my garden. And so that initial dialogue that I have developed since I was a child was really the onset of a feeling of belonging and dialogue, and then the unfolding of a dialogue, of a rich dialogue between me and the different aspects of nature. So then when I was 20, I really started intentionally connecting with nature, also to overcome some eating disorders that unfortunately, as I was a teen, I was passing through. So it's been healing. It's been a process of reclaiming my natural connection with my body, and through that with nature. And this was empowering. And the protagonist of this reconnective process, and a recollective process also, I would say, was a tree, an apple tree in my garden. And by practicing contemplative practices and meditation through my body, with movement, with this apple tree, it's like, it's what really helped me, and it still goes on after 30 years. I'm almost 50 now. It really gradually transferred my relationship with myself in the direction of respect, and feeling aligned with myself and what I may call like what I feel is my essence and what I'm made of, and another being. So completely aligned and in relationship with myself, and from here able to interact with another living being, with another person, with other persons in a more whole way, from a point of yes, of balance. So as I found that this was creating peace in my mind, and helping me face in very creative ways the challenges that all of us have in life, like, you know, conflicts, or big decisions, or transformations across my life, or that difficult relationship. How can I make it work? And when I was taking these questions, these challenges to my apple tree, and from that apple tree, then it was for me a dialogue that I developed in synergy with, of course, other natural elements. Like the apple tree was just a medium, a starting point for deeper explorations. What I found was that in those very slow, silent, contemplative spaces, a deeper knowledge was emerging. And I now can tell, after 30 years, looking back, that knowledge probably was part of me, but probably was also part of nature as well. And by accessing widened states of perception and awareness, I was able to connect with nature's genius and access a potential that, yes, was mine, but just because I am nature too, and also belongs to all the ecological coaches and mentors out there. So after exploring with many mentors and many teachers, many different ways to enter this kind of expanded states of awareness, and making these practices really like the fabric of what allowed me to feel good with myself, and more better, good with other people. Then in 2009, what I really felt was the need to start sharing something about these discoveries, and see if it could work also for somebody else. So in 2009, I had my very first workshop, and it was, I didn't even have a name for that. So I basically found that what I was doing was a practice with trees. So I called it pratica arborea, which in Italian can be translated in English like arboreal practice. So a practice with a tree, very basic. And I can show you some pictures from this very first event that I did. So it's like 13 years from now. Just I wasn't planning to share it, but now as I was speaking, it emerged. So let's do it. So just let me open some of them. And this then turned into an exhibition that I hosted in 2011. And the photos that I'm now going to share with you are taken by a famous photographer in Italy. Let me see if I can go into terms. So this was the very first experience of people who were curious to know which kind, and this is, by the way, this is my apple tree. And so it was sunset, and it it was such a magical place to meet with nature, such a deep, rich, and filled with gratefulness moment. And I had, for this first experience, really people from very different ages and backgrounds and experiences. And I love this photo because it's really like, this was an apricot tree, and it's actually dead now. And this was a real moment of very nice connection for me. And so it worked. And from here, from this very initial experience, I then couldn't stop anymore, because as people say when they experience this kind of deeper and richer relationship with nature, is that it's addictive, because it makes you feel so well that you want to do it more. And the practices are very simple. Now I will go a little bit more in detail about also what can be the content for the Amazon retreat in October. This is always my apple tree, and I guess I hope he was glad to have us on him so much all together. So yeah, and it was really dark, so this is why these pictures are a bit out of focus, because it was dark. So the light came out of a work that Teresa has done on the photos. So just a brief idea about this seed that was planted in my life in 2009. And from there, at the time, I was working as corporate development, as a business organizational development manager in a company where I stayed long across my career. And at that time, so I had my beautiful life with all this nature deepness, and I had my corporate career. And from there, my intent was really to try to merge the two things and the two careers. So that was my my intention, and that's what's gradually unfolded until in 2019, I founded, after 2 or 3 years incubating it, the Nature Coaching Academy, which is now in its 4th edition. And since 2019, even with the 2 years of pandemic in between, I managed to graduate almost 60 persons, and the last cohort is still in process now, honestly, all in Italy. And so it's been a process of learning through teaching. I probably didn't have so many clear ideas about really the process that has been stabilized over these 3 years. And now I understood better what I was doing as I was teaching it. And this is also my philosophy. You learn as you do, and you learn as you teach. Personally, this is my experience, and it really works so much. Also because when I organize workshops and learning journeys, and each learning journey takes about 3 months to be completed, I also get in touch with the people. And so the collective intelligence that emerges from our relationship, from my ideas, my practices, and the way that people interact with these practices, then allow a wider ideas to emerge. And so the program that is now offered comes out of this, let's say, 30 years of personal experience and 4 or 5 years of interaction and understanding really how to make it really accessible for people, useful and pleasurable. So I have also some slides to share with you, just to give more structure to my speech. And yeah, it can take like 10 minutes or so that then we can proceed talking maybe about more details about the Amazon retreat with Pau and Santi. And so let me share with you some key aspects of the retreat and the philosophy behind it. So what I'm trying to develop, and thanks to Santiago and Paulina and other people who are supporting me to build this, I like to call it a global forest of connected intent. The idea is really to plant seeds in many different countries of seeds of reconnection with nature and tools, practices, approaches, philosophies to do it and to spread it in the most accessible way for all. All the photos that you will see are also taken from my workshop. So these are some of the workshops that have joined the Nature Coaching Academy so far. And these are some of the trainers. It's actually a training community that is expanding beyond Italy. All these are the Italian trainers, and we are adding international trainers as well for the next cohort, starting for the online programs in nature coaching. The next program will start in January 2023. And we are adding people who are playing a very relevant role in the spreading of climate coaching, of nature connection science and evidence-based studies. So I will soon share the lineup as soon as the program is, the lineup of the teachers, as soon as it's perfected. So I'd like to quote Joanna Macy. Maybe some of you know her work. She's an American activist and philosopher, and she says, the global crisis is, in essence, a crisis of perception. There can be no technological fix, but only a revolution in the way we perceive ourselves and our relationship with the earth. And another quote, this is the title of a recent article of Arianna Huffington, the founder of the Huffington Post. And some months ago, she published this article saying that her belief is that the more burnt out we are, the less earthwise decisions we make, and the more stressed we are, the more stress we place on our planet. Because when we are stressed, we work in emergency mode with a short-term engagement and vision, and we don't have the energies or the motivation to take those wise, long-term, holistic decisions that we now desperately need to heal the climate emergency that is calling us for fast action. So, one key aspect of our philosophy is that, yes, deeply connecting with nature and contemplative practices, mindfulness with nature, forest bathing, meditative walk is good for us, for our health and our well-being. We will see some data in a moment, but it's also good for the planet, because the less stressed we are, the better we can impact our planet and start walking with it on it lightly and perhaps with an impact that can be regenerative and not destructive as it is at the moment. So one of the key concepts in our approach is really the concept of biophilia, but I'd rather call it ecophilia. Bio comes from the ancient Greek word bios, which means life. And eco comes from oikos, which in ancient Greek means home. So this term that means the love of life, of nature. I would really like to remark how this is the radical base of our motivation, this reconnecting with our love of nature and the feeling of affiliation and co-participation with the natural lives all around us is the real root of our motivation to change our lifestyles and actually impact the planet for the better. So most of the practices that I propose allow people to enter a different state of perception. Sorry for this fast switch. I don't know, there must be some transition that just ran out of control. So the contemplative practices and also the creative and fun practices that we do, because not all of them are so mystical, metaphysical, but some of them are really fun and engaging also as well, to nurture our sense of community within the group and also with nature. So the mix of practices, and my motto is lightly but deeply. So there is the lightness, there is the laughter, the fun, and there's also the deepness, and it's the interplay between these different ways of feeling and behaving that makes also the workshops really enjoyable and balanced in terms of different energies that you can access. So for me, it's a process of remembering. It's a process sometimes of unlearning what we are accustomed to doing to our bodies, to our attention, to our awareness, and just learn how to take our mind to our body and our body to our mind to recreate this connection, so that from a point of centeredness and alignment, we can open to the natural awareness all around us and have with it or with her a deeper connection and a deeper dialogue. So it's about remembering how to be human in the etymological sense. So human comes from the Latin word humanus, a derivative from homo, which comes from humus, the fertile soil. So for me, refinding the true sense of being a human means refinding the true sense of how we are of the earth. Being human for me means belonging to the soil, to the earth. The practices are for personal growth, and as Santiago was saying before, it's about reconnecting inner landscape and acknowledging how we are designed inside, and is the way we see and we connect with our and we witness our inner landscape, the landscape that we would like to have inside of us in terms of emotions, habits, mindsets. So it's about reconnecting our inner nature, letting the masks fall down and just go to the essence, what you find there when you experience something very silent, very slow, in connection with the tree or with the river or with the land or with the sky. What do you find there in that silent connection? How is your essence starting to talk again to you in those precious moments of nothing? And how can we relearn how to stay with nothing, with undoing, unwinding? And sometimes I'm saying these words because sometimes what I notice is really that we have lost this ability to just stay and savor and feel. And these spaces of nothing, and I always say that my practices basically are not complex. You don't have to push yourself in strange positions or understand complex models of mechanisms of human nature connection. No, it's just taking away thoughts, contractions, tensions, to reaccess our somatic intelligence, our organic knowledge, that knowing that we don't know, we know, but that belongs to our bodies and is always there. If we just dare to listen, we find the answers in ourselves. And this is coaching. So the coach basically is a facilitator of these, of the client for finding his or her personal resources by like a sculptor, removing the excess rock to let the shape already inside that rock emerge. So yeah, this is one of my favorite photos. This was like the final photo where all that first workshop in 2009 was leading to, like this feeling of deep connection with nature in a very organic form, where you lose pieces of your human identity in the human modern sense, and you reconnect with what's most human of you, this connection with the soil. So it's personal growth, it's professional growth. As Santi was saying before, the 5 days nature immersion in Ecuador can be the onset, has a sense in and of itself. So if you want to just have a nice, beautiful experience of reconnection, learning and practicing firsthand, lots of practices of mindfulness, contemplation, meditation, active music making for expanding the connection with nature, using creatively your voice or artistic expression. So you find all that in the immersion, and you can just join that, and it's a beautiful experience. That's it. And you take home loads of inspiration, energy, regeneration, and also some practices that we do together that you can practice on your own to cultivate your personal health and well-being after the workshop. But if you want to engage in a professional journey to become a nature coach or a forest coach or nature or forest ambassador, which are the different names that we give to the different learning journeys, then you can proceed attending at least another 5 days workshop, and then more online training. This is all 30 to 40 hours long. This is a bit outdated. And the coaching program is 100 hours. I'm sorry, but I've had some problems with the line right before the webinar. And so some changes that I made to the presentation just didn't stay. And I now see that there are some things that needs to be corrected. So this is the coaching path where you learn one step back. The ambassador's path are the learning journeys that lead to you guiding groups into the practices that we do during the workshop. So in these online journeys, you add competence in facilitating those practices and more with groups. If you want to add specific competence in coaching, and my training is now an accredited coaching training by the International Coaching Federation for 100 hours. So this means that after you graduate from this school, from the Natural Coaching Academy, you have a diploma that is recognized all over the world by one of the most of the two very important organizations in coaching, which is the International Coaching Federation. And I'm a professional certified coach, part of the International Coaching Federation. So it's an accredited coaching training program, which adds value to the value that that we offer through our learning journeys. And with the forest ambassador or forest coach journeys, you learn everything trees and forests and gardens and parks. So we work a lot with the archetype of the tree and the archetype of the garden, which is the focus of these journeys. And then in the nature learning journeys, we go deeper into the 8 natural archetypes compass, which is how we organize the work with nature using 8 different archetypes that have to do with natural powers and with human nature powers. So for each natural archetype, we have developed a set of practices, coaching approaches that have to do with these natural powers. And this is what you find in an approach with groups in the Nature Ambassador journey, and with coaching one-on-one in the nature coaching or forest coaching journey. So this is the main difference between these journeys. This includes the coaching training. These are focused on group facilitation. These are focused on one-on-one coaching sessions. So it's complex, but it's easy once you understand these 2 basic distinctions. So in the nature journeys, you get awareness maps, and we are developing the nature coaching cards in synergy with the some of the people who have already graduated. Nature prompts to go in nature and explore nature with powerful questions. Loads of ecosomatic practices. We have a workbook for each natural archetype, and it's something like this, where you have really dozens of practices for each natural archetype. So personal growth, professional growth, for collective growth. This is where we aim to go, basically. So we really love to give people the tools. And one of the things that people who attend our courses say is, it's really rich, even sometimes richer than we are able to process. And personally, I like to give everything that I know, just everything. I really want to empower people with what I know. So what I offer is just my practice, my experience, and my studies. And my colleague trainers do as well. So because we want to empower people locally. So this is why also we are trying to build a network of local representatives like Pau and Santi that can take the training and then become a local hub, a local center to spread these kind of practices and approaches and philosophies. Because what you think and your mindset, as Joanna Macy was saying, really changes what you do with nature. So this is where we aim to go: collective growth, collective change, awakening a different way to stay with, perceive nature, love nature, do something now to make the change that we desperately need. Just in case we are on time, and I'm not sure, but just in case, I want to do everything I can. So the purpose is really to repair the disconnected social and economic systems that we are part of, and that are just a reflection of the deeper disconnection we have inside of us. So community, belonging, co-creation, collective intelligence, and ecophilia are like the foundations. And one of the most important themes for me is to give back to nature subjectivity. Nature is not object, is not the background of our fantastic human enterprises. Nature is always part of a co-creative process, even if we don't realize that. Nature is always there, participating, sometimes suffering for our decisions, sometimes influencing beyond what we believe or what we know. But it's always a subject. And it's this reciprocity that we want really to reawaken, that feeling that, yes, we do things, but nature is also doing things to us. Yes, we feel nature, we see her beauty, but nature is also seeing us. And what is she seeing? And sometimes this, reversing our perception, watching nature, really is enlightening. And it's like, we look at nature as a mirror of who we really are. And sometimes what we see is not so nice. But sometimes, yes, it's beautiful. So just brief definitions, and then I give back the microphone to Pau and Santi. When we say forest bathing, we are saying deep contemplative practices that we do to really absorb the atmosphere of the forest and savor everything that comes through our senses. So it's a holistic experience where my personal goal is really like to dissolve the boundary between me and non-me. So it's a way to expanding our awareness beyond the limitations of our skin and really take the forest inside of us. So it's about mindfulness, meditative walking, taking time to appreciate, to savor, and many practices of deep connection with trees, one of which is my arboreal practice. which is a practice of intentional and aware and mindful movement and a sensory experience in connection with the tree, using movement with a certain kind of structure that would be too complex to address. Now, it's not complex, it's simple, but it needs to be embodied, and it's better if I could demonstrate it. But this is not the case for us tonight. When we say deep nature connection, I'm recalling my belonging to I would say the lineage of John Young. And I've been trained in the art of mentoring, of deep nature connection mentoring with John Young and the 8 Shields, which is like the mentor who trained since the 80s, I think really tens of thousands of people around the globe. And unfortunately, they have stopped working during the pandemic. They are now reorganizing their work now that it seems, who knows, let's cross our fingers, it seems past, okay, the COVID thing around the world. So they are going back on working. But John Young, he's the one who first placed this accent on deep nature connection, not just nature connection. Oh, how nice is this flower, but feeling the flower from the inside and really dissolving the boundaries between me and nature. So this is what I would call deep nature connection. So this experience of deep belonging. And then we have, yes, I wasn't planning to, so I was deleting this slide, but maybe I can recall it. Voila, okay. And nature coaching, for me, is an approach to coaching, which is this one-on-one partnership with a person developed in connection with nature. So not just in a simple presence of nature, but with nature as the co-coach. So in this case, the human coach becomes the facilitator of this reconnection between the client and nature, between the person and this ability to really find a different awareness and perception. And for me, the scope is restoring the person to the natural ability that we all have to take care of ourselves and our whole relational ecosystem, getting inspiration and knowledge and resources from nature. And there are some benefits that I would like to address, and it's just a brief data, very short data and essential data of an immense library of evidence-based researches now demonstrating how nature is good for our health, mental health, and physical health and well-being. Since the 80s until now, lots of scientists have researched how nature is really beneficial for us. So, for example, in one research, we find that just 20 minutes of forest gazing helps to reduce salivary cortisol, which is usually an hormone that is usually associated with stress. And with 30 minutes forest walking, which is like a forest bathing experience, the cortisol is lower, the sympathetic nerve activity lowers, blood pressure, heart rate. So some data, I repeat, it's very wide body of research that I'm not going to mention tonight. And some pieces of these most recent researches you also find in the TED Talk that I gave with my colleague, James Farrell, at TEDx Ashton University in September of the last year. And the TEDx talk, I will show you in a minute, just a screenshot, is about letting nature be your coach. So in that talk, if you want to just look in TED.com, my name, you find it. And you can have a touch of even more recent researches and also some more stories from my coaching with nature and being coached by nature experience. So more data for 2 hours forest walking for 2 days in a row, or 3 days of wilderness backpacking, and how it makes us better problem solvers, creatives, increases our self-esteem, self-efficacy, and reduces performance anxiety. So just brief examples of how nature can be good for you. And as I was saying, if you would like to just have a watch of our TED Talk, you can really go to TED.com and search here for my name or letting nature be your coach. And this is our speech, just in case you want to know more or are curious about this approach. So this basically is a brief overview of what I do and what you can experience in the Amazon retreat. And now, Pau and Santi, on to you.
Thank you so much, Diana. I was listening to your talk, and it gives me goosebumps to just be able to connect with the possibilities of these things. And I'm not just saying it because we want to have more people enjoy the retreat. I'm saying it because it's real. I mean, to be able to connect, not just in presence with nature, but actually connecting with it, and having a dialogue with it is just amazing. And I love it. And we really want more people to take advantage of that. So we'll have a Q&A in a little bit for anyone that has any questions. But before we do that, let us just go over really quickly the details of the retreat. And for those of you that have registered, we will be sending you a brochure that will expand the information of the website, and we'll give you a little more information about that. Now, why the Amazon? We live in Ecuador. I'm not originally from Ecuador. I was imported by my wife.
I'm Ecuadorian.
She is Ecuadorian. I'm originally from Colombia and lived a good part of my life in the US as well. And I've been living here in Ecuador for almost 7 years now. And I absolutely love it because it has everything. It's a very small package, a very relatively small country that has absolute everything, from the Galapagos, the volcanoes, the snow-covered volcanoes all over the place, and obviously, yes, the Amazon. And what we're trying to create with, actually, it was kind of hard to decide what archetype we were gonna choose for this retreat, because as you saw in the presentation, there are 8 of them, and Ecuador has all of them, relatively close one to the other. So we had a big set of possibilities, but we decided to do it in the Amazon because it truly is one of the more unique environments that this Latin American region offers. And the Ecuadorian Amazon is one of the more biodiverse regions of the world. So we wanted to do that. And obviously, because Diana is also a lot into the arboreal practices. And so we also wanted to give it some preference because of that. Oh, wait, hold on, let me go back. All right, so this is basically the retreat. It is going to be in October, from the 11th to the 16th of October. It's going to be in an absolutely gorgeous venue. The picture that you see there is actually the main area of the Guyana Amazon Lodge. And the idea is to have this lodge pretty much to ourselves for everything that we're going to do. And if you can just imagine a place that is nestled right in the middle of the Amazon forest, but quite comfortable, because it is actually very comfortable. It actually even has a pool, but it's a pool that is with rainwater, so it's very sustainable. But anyways, picture yourselves in this place where several tributaries to the Amazon River merge, and birds all over the place, just nature just bustling. It's absolutely gorgeous. That's exactly where we'll be. And it's away from it all. There's actually no lights anywhere. Actually, there's no electricity. There is electricity because they have a special, how do you call it? sun, what is it? Power,
Panels.
yeah, solar panels,
Mhm.
and stuff like this. But it is quite far from it all, and that's where we'll have it. It's an absolutely gorgeous location. We will have vegetarian meals 3 times a day, every day for the entire retreat. So you'll be very well fed. And we also wanted to make sure that you lived the experience in a very integral manner, because if you're going to make the trip, there's Diana's cat, beautiful cat, by the way.
Mhm.
Ours is somewhere over here. I don't know where it is. Our black cat is somewhere. If you're going to make the trip to Ecuador, we wanted you to take advantage of it and take advantage of that trip the most possible. So outside of connecting with the natural environment, we wanted you to connect also with the cultural environment. And so that's why we also have these bonus activities at no extra costs. They're already included in the program. And one of those extra activities is bird watching. This is one of the premier locations in the world for bird watching. So if you like that, this is definitely one of the places to come to. And we'll be guided on a tour. Throughout the entire 5 days, you'll have a lot of time to yourself to explore and to be with yourself, and also to be with nature. So you can do it on at your own pace, but we will also have a guided tour to see some of these birds, and it's a truly majestic location in that respect. We'll also have a cooking class, and always one of my favorites. One of the best ways to connect with any culture is through its food. It's definitely my favorite way of connecting with other cultures. Our way, every time we travel to another country, we usually, one of the first things that we look for is a local kitchen cooking class. And we've had a few. Really, I remember the one in Peru and the one in China as well. We love those kinds of things. And we hope you do too. And then we also have a nighttime jungle hike, because if there's something special about the Amazon, is that when the lights go down, there's a whole different set of animals and activity that activates. Activity that activates. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. So we want you to be able to see what the Amazon is during the day and at night as well. Okay, so this is basically the investment for the program. We have an early bird fee, which is $14.97 per person until the 15th of July. And then after that, it goes to $1,797 per person. And what does this include? This includes the entire attendance, the 5-day retreat with Diana, and all of her knowledge during this 5-day retreat. Accommodations, they will be assigned in the first come first served, because it is a small lodge, and we'll be adapting it to the group. And so we will have double, triple, or even or quadruple rooms, but trust us, they're extremely comfortable, and you'll definitely enjoy them. This also includes all meals, vegetarian meals. If anyone has any special requests, they can definitely make them, and we'll do our best to accommodate them. But yeah, we'll have those 3 vegetarian meals per day. It also includes transportation from Quito Airport to the lodge, which is about 3.5 hours away, and the field trips and the cultural activities that we just mentioned. Okay, and if you do decide to take advantage of this incredible opportunity, we also suggest that you visit other areas of Ecuador. Within Quito, just about an hour away, hour and a half away at the most, you have access to at least 3 snow-capped volcanoes, thermal springs. It's just a whole bunch of things. And obviously we have the Galapagos here as well. It's just about 2.5 to 3 hour flights from Quito. We have the deserts.
1 hour.
From Guayaquil, but
1.5.
yeah, 1.5. Okay, 1.5. Good stuff. So even closer, even better. So
Yeah.
that's what the fee is and what it includes. And what would be the next steps? If you haven't done so already, one good step that you can do is to register. It's on this website, www.equilibrados.com/Amazon. And there you can put in your name and email, and then we'll send you the brochure with more information about the program. You can also contact us through WhatsApp, or you can also email us through Equilibrados. And if you already know Diana or you're already in touch with her through social media or whatever, you can also contact her. And we're hosting the event, so we'll be helping her with all the logistics, all the details, so that she can focus on providing maximum value to anyone that participates, and we're sure she will. So that's that. And then we'll open it up to questions for Diana regarding nature coaching itself, the retreats, anything that that you might have any doubts about.
Hello, Diana.
Yes, Vikash.
Yeah, very nice to connect with you from Nepal Himalayas. And also hi to Pau and Santi. I'm very glad to connect to you. And I'm also a forestry professor in Nepal. I'm also developing a course and some retreat in Himalayas based on mind, movement, and mountains in the Himalaya. And would like to collaborate with you for a forest coaching and forest therapy work in the mountains in coming days. That I want to say you, and have a namaste and have a lovely day. Good night.
Thank you, Bikash. I know you since maybe a couple of years ago. You have the Wild Nepal, right? The name of your company or place, right? Yes, I really look forward to come and visit you sooner or later. Who knows? Hope to meet you in person.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Take care. We have a question here from Florencia Scandale. Yes, we do have internet. Definitely, there's Wi-Fi in the lodge. I don't remember, and there is cell phone. Not she has better memory than I do. That's not very surprising, but yes, there is. Mhm. So you will not be disconnected from your children. Worry not.
Please, Giovanna.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a question. Well, many. And first of all, thank you very much. This was a great presentation and very inspiring, and I really want to go.
Yes.
Yeah, but it sounds beautiful. But if we talk about like the full process, if someone would like to take all the ambassador or the coaching process, the retreat is a part of this full process, I understand.
Yes, absolutely.
It's kind of mandatory that you have to have this experience in the retreat, and then you can continue with the process of ambassador or coaching. This is the beginning of the process, the retreat?
Yes, the way I keep the journeys organized is that this cannot necessarily be the first one, but can also be the second or the third experience, depending on when you start the journey. So every workshop is whole in itself, but you need to complete 2 5 days nature immersions for the forest journeys. Or 3 nature immersions for the nature journeys. So it's basically like 14 days for the nature journeys, because even 14 days can work. In Italy, we have done so far like that. So in Italy, the programs are structured in a little bit different way, because we are all close to each other, and so the structure is a bit different. But for international, it's 2 workshops of 5 days each, or 3 workshops but you can even miss one day if you want, if it doesn't fit your agenda, for the nature journeys. And then the online journeys that accompany each segment of learning. And that's all online. And you can take even 2 years before completing the 3 nature immersions. So just to keep the process not too long in time, a maximum for the nature journeys, 2 years, for the forest journeys, 1 year. So that's how it's structured. But in the presentation, I'm now updating, since I just received the, just couple of months ago, the accreditation from ICF. I'm re-updating all the presentations. So you will receive, if you are registered either with our newsletters or Pau and Santi's, you will receive the updated overview of all the programs with all the detailed contents of each segment of learning. It's all very, even too much maybe, it's all very well specified. It's a very rich brochure where you find almost everything in terms of program, how it works, how it's structured over time, the dates, the deadline, and so on. Okay. Thank you for your questions. So useful. Thank you. And Florencia, yes.
Hi everyone. Just to complement, very similar question. When will we be ready to facilitate our first group? You know, I understand we need to follow all journey at the end, but I suppose that in the middle of this learning process, maybe we will be able to facilitate some teams.
That's crucial. I always say that you learn more when you do than when you listen to any trainer talking. So that's crucial. And for instance, what I do is, okay, usually every workshop, if you then subscribe to any of the learning journeys, every workshop is reviewed after, like usually the week after. And for the 5 days immersions, it's 2 webinars of reviewing all the practices that we did in terms of conducting and facilitating. So once you join an immersion, you have these first 2 pieces of learning, which is, okay, let's review what we did, but with the eye of the facilitator. So that I bring you in the backstage of my mind or the mind of the other trainers, and understanding how the program is shaped and why that way, and why we have created that dynamic in the practices. And so all the knowledge that we infuse in our experiences, we share in these 2 webinars, which are just the review of the immersions, the live immersions. Then there's the additional online learning, which is more like the theory of ecopsychology, deep nature connection, plant intelligence, and all the topics that we cover, the archetypes and everything. And that's more pieces of theory that attach to the practices. And we enrich all these online learning journey also with additional practices that we share in the online journeys as well, so that it's not just theory, but usually every meeting begins with the practice, and at the beginning it's me guiding it, and then I invite people to guide the practices, sometimes all together, sometimes in subgroups or in couples, and then we share feedbacks. So ideally, after the first immersion and the 2 webinars of reviewing the practices, you should start guiding groups to learn faster. But when sometimes people don't feel enough prepared to start doing that, but what we always say, and that's also part of our philosophy, is that you need to start when you're not prepared, because how are you going to be prepared if not practicing? So and of course, maybe the people who feel more ready to start guiding groups are the people who maybe are already guiding groups in some other kind of ways. So maybe they are trainers or teachers in school, or so they feel like, so the relational aspect is sometimes crucial. And so that's why sometimes when you don't already have a confidence in teaching or training or facilitating anything, not nature connected practices, it requires more exposure. More time and exposure to the practices to really feel like, okay, now I do it. But you can start, and you should start straight away.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the feedback after at least the first piece of the Forest Ambassador journey, which is the foundational. So Forest Ambassador is like the basis for everything else. So you start with the Forest Ambassador journey, which is the foundation, and then you add the 8 natural archetypes piece, which is the Nature Ambassador piece. And so it's the Nature Ambassador journey. And then you added the coaching, and that's the whole journey. So you can add just the coaching, just to the Forest Ambassador piece, and that's Forest coaching. Or you can add the coaching piece to the complete Nature Ambassador journey, and that's the nature coaching piece. So it's not different programs. It's like you start with the forest, add a piece for the nature 8 natural archetypes, and then add the coaching. That's how it works. Hope it's clear.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you.
Diana?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, again. No, I think Brigitta is there. Brigitta first.
Say it again, please. I didn't get it.
No, I saw Brigitta, so she can go first and then I'll go.
Okay, perfect. Please, Brigitta.
Thank you, Giovanna, and thank you for the questions. I have one more regarding the training program. What if someone has a certified life coach program already done, but it's actually maybe it's made in Hungary? Then in this case, is it enough to do only the ambassador program, or in order to be like a certified coach of this program, is it compulsory to do the coaching element as well, or how is it work?
Okay, good question. Your training as a life coach is accredited by the International Coaching Federation?
I have to check it.
Okay, because I tell you what we did so far. So the program is accredited by, my program is accredited by the International Coaching Federation for 100 hours. So actually my diploma can only be given to the people who attended the 100 hours training, because that's what's certified. That's a piece. The other piece is that I'm in the process, and it's going to happen over the next few months. I am about to start accrediting also the nature immersions with ICF as continuous education units. So for people who have, I don't know if it's your case, but if you just in case have an ICF accredited diploma, so coaching training certified by the ICF, then you can get continuous education credits units, which you need to renew your credential as a coach with the ICF. So that's something that we are going to add, and probably, hopefully, we are going to get these additional accreditations during next months, like in autumn, like October, November. Hopefully by the end of the year, it should be done. It's a big job because it's quite committing, but it's then after we have submitted the request, it's a fast process. It takes no more than 2 months, so we can make it. And if your question points to, I have already done the piece of training on coaching, can I avoid retaking that? The answer is no. Above all, if your diploma isn't accredited with ICF, because then I wouldn't be able to provide you a diploma if you don't attend those 100 hours. And also, over the past 2 editions, we had coaches who were already trained coaches with a diploma from the ICF, and they found different approaches, different mindset frameworks. So it's really different and unique. And honestly, working with nature, I only know of one other program accredited by ICF to become a coach in synergy with nature. So it's quite unique. And actually, we are just 2 providers all over the world. So it's quite unique. And I know that also my, let's say, competitor, but I prefer to think of him or them as allied in this process of relearning confidence with nature. So these other allied, let's say that I have, has different frameworks. So each of us has very different philosophy and practices. And so the answer, I think, is no, but you can check anyway if your diploma is accredited, and if so, you will find it much more easy and smooth to take the coaching piece, because sometimes the hardest part of the training is really the 8 core coaching competencies of the ICF. That's like something that people need to process, and it's really all about leaving yourself out of the scene when you really facilitate a coaching conversation, and knowing you know nothing, and be really in service of the knowing of the other person. So this is the toughest part, which is also the heart of the coaching, the coaching federation model of coaching. So just that.
Okay, thank you for the detailed answer, Diana. It was very useful. I just have another thought that, are you planning to hold immersions in Europe in the upcoming years, or do you have any idea about this?
Yes. In Europe. Yes, actually, we had some plans for Austria and Spain, but I don't think we are going to have enough participants because the advertising process was so hard because of the COVID pandemic. So there is so much uncertainty that so far the only program that is certainly starting is at the end of June in Italy, and it's 5 days on a volcanic island in the southern part of Italy. So we have some months again for Spain, which will happen in September, but Austria, which was planned for June, I don't think we're going to make it. So maybe we are going to have that, but at the moment, the most sure thing is Italy and Ecuador. So yeah, and yeah.
Okay, Diana, it's Amish, and hi everyone. I'm sorry I cannot turn on my video. I don't know why. It's some technical problem. So I'm from Hungary too, and I just was interested in Austria, the immersion in Austria. So I just wanted to send an email to you and ask if it's gonna be happen in Austria or not. But so it's not sure, as you said. Okay.
No, I think we are really running out of time, and I had so little time to advertise that as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Maybe next time. But in Spain, maybe you say in Spain in September, maybe. Yeah.
The games are still open, but who knows?
Who knows? Okay. Okay. Because as Brigitta said, in Europe, it's more accessible for us, of course, than of Europe, especially this time. So if there will be immersion in Europe, just let me know, let us know, please.
Yes, I know. We have been exchanging some emails over the past, I think, one year, maybe, or months. And yes, I know that you are in the newsletter list. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Anna, and we were talking about in 2020, 2000 next year. Sorry, it's too late. So we were talking about next year maybe an immersion in Hungary. You know, so
Hopefully, yeah.
But
Let's hope
okay.
that the international situation remains the
Yes.
same.
Yes, okay. I don't wanna take your time, guys. I just have one question. I'm a trainer for 15 years, experiential trainer, outdoor trainer, and also I'm a qualified outdoor coach. I learned it, I studied it in Holland, but I would like to take the career path so with you also to become a nature coach. So already an outdoor coach, but I like your work. So I would like to take the path of your, to become a nature coach. And my question is, if I understand well, I don't have to be an ICF normal classical coach to attend your career path.
Yes, because we teach you everything from the base.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's just that the approach to the ICF core coaching competencies is really enriched by the nature piece. So that's the model that we follow, the ICF, but it's every competence is also declined in our work with body and the nature. And
Okay.
I didn't share this time one of the dearest definitions that I have of body, earth, and place, which is like foundational in our approach. But I will share the recording of the other day, the Sunday webinar that I've given about ecosomatic coaching, which is the accredited ICF coaching program, which enables you then to become a nature coach. And in that webinar, you will find even more information about the coaching piece and our approach to coaching. And so maybe you will receive it via email. And if you want to watch that too, it was a really nice webinar with very different concepts than tonight.
2 days ago, yes? I've
Sunday.
Thank you. I've been there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So thank you, Diana. I understand. I just wanted to make sure because I'm a professional trainer and outdoor coach, but not normal coach. I don't have any degree in normal indoor coaching. So
that's perfect. That's ideal. So you are free from pre-given frameworks, even better.
Yeah. So thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And I also can add that just in case you may, okay, it's not ideal, but you could also start straight from the online coaching training from January 2023, and then take the immersions if you cannot attend any of the nature immersions before. But this is not ideal because when we get to the coaching session, it's better if you already have practiced some of the embodiment and nature connection practices that we do, because then you already have an embodied experience of the practice of nature coaching. So you can, it's not not yet maybe, so I'm still thinking it out. So at the moment it was not mandatory to have already done an immersion. But now that I'm saying it, maybe it's going to become mandatory. So sorry for the confusion, but I'm still rethinking it. As I listen to myself saying this, there's something wrong. No, yeah, because this past edition of the coaching training, we had one person over 20, approximately 20-25 participants, who have never taken a workshop with me because of the COVID thing, and he just couldn't ever come. And I feel that something was missing for this person. He was enthusiastic, he appreciated everything, but for me, there was something missing. And luckily, he already was a meditation teacher and doing yoga. So he already had some, pieces in line with us somehow. But being outside of any kind of meditative practice and registering for the course, I think it's not ideal. yeah, so I'm still thinking it out, and I will clarify with myself before I release the updated version of the brochure.
And sorry, it's Emma Shea again. One more question, Diana.
Yeah.
Is the immersion in Italy this year will be in Italian or in English?
Okay, it will be in Italian, but if there's an international participant, I have no problem in taking care of translating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can really switch very easily from Italian to English, and also the practices are very easily proposed, so it's not really complex. It's just the moment of sharing that you may miss something, and that's a pity, because the sharing moments, like at the end of the day or some moments during the day where we share how we are and how's the process going, those are nice moments, and ideally you should have a dedicated translator for that. So if we have more than one person English speaking, I may also hire a translator, but at the moment you would be the first one. So
okay,
we can see, but at the moment you could be the only one.
I learn Italian, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Giovanna, any more question?
Well, Brigitta asked one of them, so thank you, about if you have any previous certification, and I'd love the answer, because I think this is an unlearning process of what you already had, so this is great for me. And one question for Pau and Santi, it's about the restrictions in Ecuador right now because of the COVID. It's easy, because in Chile it's still complicated to come. You need a lot of paperwork. So how about Ecuador?
Actually, Ecuador has handled overall, except for the first couple of months, Ecuador has handled COVID quite well. And right now it's not difficult at all. All you really need is the test, the PCR test prior to coming. The last directive was such that I don't think it was required to have the vaccine necessarily. Yeah, for international travel, I don't think you have to have necessarily the vaccine, but at least the PCR tests. And I think it's like in the US. I think it's like having had it like 24 hours prior to travel. But we don't foresee that being a hindrance to an obstacle.
Thank you. Gracias.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, so I would really like to close if there. So we give even a couple of more minutes just in case people need to think things out and then have a more question. I would just like to share a short 60 seconds video with some photos from the workshops that we had in Italy, so you can have a touch of the nature in Italy where we took the workshops, and just imagine how even more magnificent it could be in Ecuador. So if you want, I can share this. And please tell me if you hear the audio, because last time I shared the video. Now maybe I need to share in a different way. Advanced computer audio video. Maybe this works better. Let's see. Oh, okay. Just a second, I'm coming. Okay, there it is. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So it's this one. You. Voila. Okay. And just ignore the Italian sentences, because as I said, the electric line just collapsed, and I was making some changes to the Italian text here, but just couldn't. And also ignore other logos from my partners here in Italy. So. so that was it. Just some short photos from some of the workshops of the past 2 or 3 years. So if no more questions are waiting for us, I would really like to thank Santi and Paulina for hosting this webinar and telling us so many details and beautiful aspects of your wonderful country. And I really hope to meet you soon, because we have just met online so far.
This is true. Yes,
It's time. It's time.
yeah, we really look forward to it. And Pauli just researched the COVID requirements, and for any international travelers that are 3 years or older, they need one of two things: either the vaccine certification or a PCR test 72 hours prior to travel. So
Right.
that's all.
Santi, how many vaccines?
I would imagine 2. We're already on the 4th one here in Ecuador, but for mandatory, I would believe only 2. Mhm.
Yes, it's important to check it because you need some time, between every vaccine.
Oh,
So
yeah, true.
because if you discover that you need another vaccine and you don't have, the enough time to do it, you will miss the trip.
For sure. Well, the other option is the PCR tests 72 hours prior. So if you have just a negative result on a PCR test, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Great, and thank you all for being here
Thank
with us
you.
tonight and giving sense to this meeting across borders. Thanks again, you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. Take care.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hi everyone. Good night. Or
Ciao.
Ciao,
Bye.
Good
gracias.
night.
Take care.
Ciao. Wait, if you want, we can, since everybody has gone, we can stay a bit more.
Yeah, that's why we didn't leave.
Voila. And
That
this
was
is
great.
the other computer. Yeah, it was very, very nice and lots of interest. And so who knows? And yeah, I think it's also a good idea. So the deadline is July 15. What was it? July.
For the early bird, it's on July 15th.
July
Should we
15.
make it sooner?
No, it's okay. I think. I mean, if the lodge is fine, for me, it's fine. And yes, maybe we could really do another webinar and plan it and advertise it. And next week, I will talk to the person who will follow all the social media campaign so that he can set up the best advertising also on LinkedIn, because I think that LinkedIn is the best place for these.
Especially for coaches.
Yeah.
And actually, do you want to stop recording because we're already on the